And over half of Americans think that the deportation process thus far in the Trump administration has been mostly unfair. That's 53%. And then 51% say that ICE's tactics have gone too far. So to Naira's point,
35 and 12 is 47. That's very close. 51 and 47 is a very close number, Abby.
Okay. Yeah, but it's also math. 51 is a larger number than 47.
Okay.
So and it's down from 7.
I'm just saying, you're making this sound like everybody's upset about it. It's pretty much a 50-50 issue, and that's fine. But some people think he hasn't gone far enough.
Scott, just a second.
That's Republican Scott Jennings calling out establishment media framing that treats deporting criminal illegal aliens as some moral crisis while ignoring the broken immigration system Democrats created. Welcome to Nerk News. I'm Nerkish, and it looks like establishment media is scrambling again as Trump's immigration mandate keeps colliding with their preferred narratives. Because every time the facts cut through the polling spin, the storyline they've spent years constructing falls apart in real time. It's another moment where the data doesn't match the drama. Here's Jennings pushing back on their dishonest polling claims.
53% say, let me just say it again, 53% say that the process for deporting people has been mostly unfair. My point is only that Naira
it's unfair that it takes so long to get rid of it.
You have a final order.
I would answer it that way.
Please let the host of the show talk.
My point is that what Naira is talking about, which is that there are some people who were fine with Trump saying he was going to get violent criminals out, all of that. And they did not believe, because I remember you were sitting at my table saying that, oh, Trump is going to start with murderers and criminals, and they're not going to really be able to get to all the other people because it's going to take too much time. That also didn't happen because there has been indiscriminate arresting of people of all different stripes. And a lot of people in the middle who were okay with some form of deportation of violent criminals are now looking at that and they're thinking that things have gone too far.
I heard from many folks who were Trump supporters, voted for Trump both times, who's like, well, this is not what I voted for. And what they're referring to specifically are families being torn apart, kids being, having their parents picked up and taken away from in front of schools, from having restaurant workers and other folks who are hardworking but undocumented, being disappeared from their community. And I think the rhetoric and the reality are now crashing together of when you talk about illegals and violence versus the people that are in a community that have been working there and building relationships. There is a massive disconnect.
I would like to go back, though, and I'm interested in your two-time Trump voting friends who are apparently phone banking you that are surprised that he is interested in enforcing our immigration laws. Because it is literally what he's been running on since he started in 2015. If you voted for Donald Trump 2 or 3 times and you're unsure about why he's deporting people, I dispute it.
So
I'm just
Scott,
sorry.
We are on.
You know, this is classic establishment media. Take a poll with loaded wording, strip the context, and pretend Americans suddenly oppose the very policies they voted for. I mean, Jennings is right to highlight the absurdity here. Calling criminal deportations unfair is the kind of framing only disconnected pundits think lands with regular people. The truth is, support for enforcement never budged. The latest Harvard-Harris poll shows 56% of registered voters still support deporting all illegals, and 78% want criminals prioritized. Heck, even about a quarter of Democrats agree. Trump won on immigration, he governs on immigration, and voters are getting exactly what they demanded. The idea that Republicans are secretly having buyer's remorse is just another liberal fantasy built on selective sampling and wish casting. Jennings flipping the argument back on CNN exposes how embarrassing the spin has become and why their credibility keeps sinking.
So can we just go to the data, CNN's own data, from our own data analyst Harry Hinton. President Trump has an 87% approval rating among Republicans, which is higher than Barack Obama's approval rating among Democrats at this point in his term, higher than where George W. Bush was in his term. He is the strongest, for his own party, strongest president at this point in his second term in the modern era. That's number one. Number two, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, had a falling out with the president over politics. He showed her a poll that said she couldn't win statewide in Georgia.
That's exactly
she got mad. She got mad. And by the way, she stands with a group of isolationists who just happen to disagree with the president over, say, taking away Iran's nuclear weapons and some other issues. That's fine. He's the president. She's not. And if you want to talk about whether the president has a hold on his party or whether he's a lame duck, I'll just submit that when he withdrew his endorsement of Greene, She lasted a week and then had to resign from Congress. That's not weakness. That is
a couple
strength.
things. All right, so Scott, I'll let you respond to that because, I mean, obviously he feels strongly, but it's also in the context of Trump just coming off of a threat that these lawmakers should be tried for treason, and then he endorsed the idea that they could be hung for their alleged crimes. So there is a lot of retribution and violence coming from the president.
Well, he's plenty mad about that video that they put out raising the idea that he's issued illegal orders. And in the days that follow, they went on television and were asked directly, what illegal orders? And nobody could name any. And one of them, that's supposed to be the smart moderate, Alyssa Slotkin, started citing Hollywood movies as the rationale for the video. So it seems pretty crazy to me that Democrats would raise the prospect of illegal orders and not be able to name any. Venezuela, look, there's a lot of differences of opinion out there. And on Comey and James, it wasn't about the merits of the case. It was about the appointment of the prosecutor, which is a different thing. But beyond all of that, my rebuttal to this is that the U.S. Constitution has been serving us quite well for 250 years, and there are remedies for everything in the Constitution. But the number one remedy for any political issue in America is called an election. And we just had one in November, and I think there's certain people that haven't gotten over it.
I actually agree with Scott's conclusion.
You know, they can't process that Trump voters wanted this, voted for it, and still support it. And once they run out of talking points, they lunge into nonsense about illegal orders or buyer's remorse with references that don't even come from reality. This is what happens when a movement built on emotional narratives collides with hard numbers. And the timing here is no accident. Democrats are staring down brutal polling on immigration, the economy, and public safety. The latest polling shows them underwater by double digits on immigration and border security. So the media leans into these illegal order theatrics to shift attention away from numbers that keep sinking.
To Jackie's point, it's not going to slow down.
No.
Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, they are calling on ICE to be even more aggressive. They want to get more deportations. They want to see these numbers go even higher. So they're only going to increase these tactics. There's no sign that they're backing down.
What the president had said is we're going to get the criminals out of the country. And what the people who work for him have said is we don't care if they have actually committed crimes here. They see the crime, which it technically is, of being in the U.S. without being a citizen illegally.
And I think
not just without being a citizen.
When I think what we've heard from voters is they really did believe the president when he said that the criminals were the ones that were being targeted, not their next door neighbor who had been in the country for 20 years, et cetera, et cetera. But that's what's happening.
And of course, the Democrats did what they always do. They reflexively resist everything. You were talking about Bernie Sanders 20 years ago. That party is gone. They are all in on illegal immigration, up to and including, a U.S. senator going to El Salvador trying to retrieve a member of MS-13 and bring him back to the United States. And so all of their energy is behind things that to the average person sounds crazy. If we're common sense, they're uncommon nonsense. But on the immigration issue, they took no, they didn't accept any resistance. They went right after it. They're still going right after it. I'm very proud of them. And by the way, they are facing a propaganda campaign on this like we have never seen. I sit and listen to it every single night. What they say about ICE, how they describe ICE enforcement, the way they describe these stories and these interactions, it's almost entirely made up. It's almost entirely fabricated. ICE is, how many laws have we passed, Vinny, since Trump took over? Zero. We have not passed a single immigration law. We are simply enforcing immigration laws that are currently on the books and have been on the books for years. This is the President of the United States upholding his oath of office to faithfully execute the laws of this country that have been in existence. Biden told ICE, don't enforce the law. Trump says, just enforce the law. And hey, novel concept, it's working.
You know, pretending Trump only wanted to deport the worst of the worst is a lie they've repeated for years because it softens the contrast between Trump's approach and the chaos Biden created. Voters demanded broad enforcement with violent criminals first, but all illegals ultimately. Linking immigration to wages, housing shortages, crime, and economic pressure is exactly why Trump's message keeps winning. It connects real-world consequences to political choices. Democrats ignore all of it because acknowledging the truth would mean admitting their entire border stance collapsed under reality. But let me know what you think. Is establishment media losing control of the immigration narrative? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye.